Hey everyone, this is Ash from Cascade Fiberworks, and today is day 5 of Vlogmas. Alright, on today's episode we're going to talk about loom knitting. If you can see my cluttered table here, it's all my loom knitting I have going on. So I actually got into loom knitting about 3 years ago. I got really sick and I wasn't able to be very physically active, which was very depressing. You know, I was a very physically active person before I got sick, and then afterwards I had to spend a lot of time off my feet in my recliner, and that just really made me feel useless and purposeless. And so I was walking through Walmart one day and I was like, oh, there's a loom knitting kit, and it came with this loom along with like 4 other looms, maybe 3 other looms, and it was $15 at Walmart. And I had never tried loom knitting before. We had some looms in our house before, but they kind of just looked long like this one, and that's intimidating when you don't know what you're doing. But I felt, oh, well, here's a circle, how hard can it be, right? And so I bought this $15 loom set, went home, looked up some videos on YouTube, and I was able to start to learn about how to loom knit my own hats. And so I had a lot of learning curveballs though, between what type of yarn to use, what type of yarn works on these looms, because they are large gauged and everything. And my very first hat I ever actually made was for Sheila, and she was really touched by it because like she has never had anyone make her anything, and she's always crocheted things for other people, and so it was kind of really sentimental and really cute and everything. And she still has my very first hat, and I call it like the first gen hat because it doesn't have a brim. It's very short, it's very thin, but she absolutely loves it, and I really appreciated her support during that time. So I just started loom knitting a bunch of hats, you know, and they had a little bit of loose ends to them. I learned how to make pom-poms, you know, and I documented my whole entire story through it and everything. I actually ended up starting a page on Facebook for all my hats, like not thinking that anybody would really enjoy them or think they're good by any means, or even get orders from them, but I wanted to show my process and my progress through making the different types of hats. And over time, like a lot of people actually started commenting on them and saying how beautiful they were, and it really just kept me going. And so ultimately I took a lot of my hats and I ended up sending them to homeless shelters, and the better I got at making hats, the more I started sending them out. Like I started sending them out like 10, 20 at a time to different homeless shelters. I really wanted to move to Seattle at the time, so I actually went ahead and I was sending them to Seattle and Tacoma and the surrounding PNW homeless shelters. And you know, I never expected to get any shout outs from it or any thank yous. It was just simply wanting to do a nice act of kindness, you know. And so moving forward, now we live in like a colder climate, and so I'm able to donate to our local shelters, which is really nice. And one day I hope that I get to see like one of my donated hats on someone's head out in the world, you know. Like I obviously know what my hats look like. So that's how I got started with loom knitting, and it's just kind of continued and progressed. And so I want to talk about different types of looms, different types of projects that you can do with looms, different styles of hats. I just got a new loom set. You can see the difference between these two looms on the gauges on how close these pegs are to each other. And so you would use this for a more bulkier yarn, such as like wool ease, some of the chunkier size 5 yarns. And this makes up really nice, bulky, stretchy hats. And this is one here. This is double stranded. because I wanted to add more color into it. But you can see that has a lot of really good stretch to it, and it doesn't have like a lot of spacing in there or anything like that. It's a really, really good solid hat, and that's made with one of the large gauge looms here. And then this one is actually a cat hat, also size 5, bulky yarn. It's Charisma, and I also made it on one of these larger gauged looms. And again, you can see all of the breathability and the stretch to it. I really love Charisma yarn. It's so nice. And then we get into our smaller gauge looms here, and I'm still actually testing out a lot of different yarns for these because I'm trying to figure out how much stretch I can get from one of these, and it will ultimately help me decide on my favorite yarns I want to work with, and the different types of products I'm going to make with these smaller gauge looms. I bought this second set on Amazon very recently. It was only like $22, and you actually got more looms included than in this first set that I bought, which is a total steal, because remember, it was $15 for just like 3 or 4 looms. Well, I paid $23, and I ended up having like 6 looms come with this one, and I really dig it. It even came with a flat loom as well with smaller gauge, which is really cool. And so, as I said, I'm still learning about our smaller gauge and what works on these. And so you can see that I kind of have all of these projects lined up, and they're currently being worked on. I'm really bad right now about making multiple projects at once, but I just can't help it. So moving forward, this is a size, I want to say this was a size 2. It's very, very lightweight, and I did it on one of the smaller pegged looms, but it's so lightweight. It's so nice. This is definitely going to be a springtime hat, you know, fall or whatever, you know, probably a good pride hat. But you can see all the stretch. I mean, this is probably the stretchiest one I have made yet, and it's so nice, and I love the vibrancy of it and everything. So I'm really excited about size 2 yarn on the smaller gauge looms for lightweight hats. This is a size 4 worsted weight, and I think this is the Big Twist Living yarn, and it was also made on one of the small looms, or small gauge looms anyways, and it has a lot of stretch to it as well, and I absolutely love the feeling of it. Like, these small gauge looms actually feel like they make a whole different type of fabric, which actually makes me excited, because one day I want to make my own cardigan, you know, to brag about my skills one day when I get that good. Moving on to next hat here, also made on the small gauge loom. This is the Loops and Thread faucet yarn, and it has a lot of stretch to it too, and I think technically it says it's a size 4, but I don't really believe it because it's so small. But it has a lot of really good stretch to it. It's so lightweight, so beautiful, so vibrant. And then I actually made my first cat hat on the new smaller gauge looms as well, and this one was a little different because this worsted weight was definitely a 4, and it has stretch to it, but definitely doesn't come in, like it doesn't squish onto the head. And so it's like, this is the size you're gonna get. If you have a smaller head, it's not going to really shrink down on it like these other ones do. But if you have a really big head or a lot of hair, it's perfect. And so I'm definitely going to try a couple different worsted weight size 4 yarns on it to see what I can do and how to work with it. So I'm definitely going to keep trying on that. Actually, I have a project right here that is also worsted weight size 4, and I'm using it on a smaller loom than the cat ear was originally, and so I'm definitely seeing how this is going to work out. You can see that it has a lot of stretch to it currently, and I'm digging that. So I'm just really curious how it's going to work up after it's off the loom to see how it forms to someone's head. So stay tuned for that update. But I really, really love that color yarn. I love self-striping yarn. It's so pretty, obviously. I mean, it's just been really beautiful hats. This is another one that I'm currently working on. This one is actually a little different than the other hats that I have here because, as I said previously, this purple loom, I use size 5 bulky yarns on it, and it makes up these really nice larger knits on here. But I wanted to try and do a size 5 on the smaller loom. And if you look here, you can see that it looks completely different. Like, it creates a whole different fabric altogether. Like, it still has a lot of stretch to it, but it's definitely thicker. Like, it's definitely going to be a warmer hat. And I'm noticing a lot less of the pilling or the sloughing that happens like on this one compared to this one. It's just a little bit, or they call it haloing, whatever it is. So I'm interested to see how this one works up and how it also conforms the head afterwards. I'm going to be putting a pom-pom on this one. Somebody had requested specific colors, and that was the closest color I actually had. And then for this one here, this is actually a very long project that I'm working on, but one of my friends reached out to me and she had said, hey, can you make me a scarf? And I was like, well, I've never made a scarf before, so maybe. And she had given me the story about how she had this really, really long, beautiful scarf that was extra wide and extra long. It went down to her knees, and she was able to wrap it around her neck and over her head, and at the time she was bald, and so she really needed that extra insulation in there and everything. And she said she lost it when she was on a trip in Europe. And so I was like, you know what, I'm down for a challenge, let's give it a go. And so I learned about ribbing. It's just a knit one, purl one, and it's super duper stretchy. And I got started on this scarf and it's taking forever, but it's making good progress. And she's not in a big rush by any means. She's not going on any trip. She's from California. It's not like she really needs a scarf right now, but I've been working on it. It's about 32 inches long, so you can see it's like almost around my neck now, and it is very stretchy. Wow, look at that, super stretch, right? And I actually had never learned this particular stitch or ribbing itself before hand, and so I got to learn a new technique. I got to work on a new loom, and it's going to one of my dear friends, you know, and so I know that they're going to appreciate it, and so I'm super excited to see it all finished. Granted, it's probably going to take me another like month or two to actually get it finished because of how long it's going to be. It's going to be about 7.5 feet long, so that's like super duper long, but I'm hoping that it will be just what she's looking for. One of the hacks that I learned is how important it is to actually mark your loom. Either people do it with nail polish, they do it with specialty stitch markers that they put around each peg. Some people do rubber bands. I just went around with a Sharpie and I marked all the areas that I should be purling on versus knitting, because I tried probably the first like 6 inches of this just to do it by eye and just to like keep it mentally in my head, but it was horrible. It's just hard. It made everything harder. But after I actually went and marked it, then it just started, you know, going. And you know, so for me, lesson that I learned is mark your dang loom if you gotta switch stitches, because it'll make everything easier. And ribbing is super duper stretchy, and you can do just about everything and anything with it. So I'm really excited about that. And then also with this ginormous scarf, I learned how much I like the feeling of this stretchy material, because it's literally like the size of my leg now, and it could almost be like a pant sleeve, which is cool, because one of the things me and she'll always talk about is survival clothing. Like, if you were in a pinch and you had to make your own clothing, how would you make it? We have no sewing skills. We're not very good at sewing at all, and so we were like, oh well, we would crochet this or we would knit that. And so, you know, now I know at least maybe I I could learn how to knit a pair of pants if I absolutely had to in a pinch. So, you know, we'll see how this goes. I'm definitely going to do a video whenever I get this all done, and hopefully I'll get some pictures of my friend whenever she puts it on, because she's actually quite shorter than I am, and so this scarf will be very, very long, and it's going to be very wide. Like, it's going to be, like I said, 7.5 feet long, and it's going to be roughly 24 inches wide. So she should be able to put it over her head, you know, and wrap it around her all the ways that she wants to. And so we'll see how it goes. Are you guys doing any fun projects that maybe is a first time make for you that you've never made before, or a new technique that you're learning? Because I would love to know it. And if you're interested in watching me do any loom knitting, we can definitely do an episode on that. I can even do a quick walkthrough of like how I start it, how I stop it, how I do these little flipped up brims, because the first time I didn't know about doing a built-in brim, and so all my stuff was, you know, rolled over, which has a different look. It's not bad by any means, but I feel like it gives it a whole different texture and warmth for your ears. So I can definitely show that technique as well, but as I learn, I definitely have no problem sharing that information with everybody. But definitely let me know if anyone is interested, and you can always follow us on our Facebook as well at Cascade Fiberworks, because we are always putting short videos up there and content as well. But that's all I really have to talk about today when it comes down to looms. There's many different looms out there. I only have a few, so don't be surprised if you go looking for, you know, looms online and you see the big swirly ones. People use those for Afghans. They use them for, you know, different types of blankets and stuff. And you can really just create anything you really want to with looms. So thank you so much for watching our day 5 Vlogmas and everything here. Please come back, watch our other videos. Yesterday we did Bull Bazaar, so if you haven't seen that one, definitely go watch it too. Thanks!